Hey y'all, welcome back. We're going to be doing another Monster High Generation 3 unboxing today, and this time we are looking at Lagoona Blue. She is pink this time. I know that that's been a lot of controversy with her being pink versus blue, and this reiteration of Monster High. I obviously don't mind it. If you saw my overview kind of Gen 3 opinion video, yeah, it's different, but I really don't think it's terrible. I kind of just think of it like a multiverse sort of situation where this is just a different version of Lagoona who happens to be pink. So I'm really excited to be able to have her and unbox her. My box is a little bubbled on the bottom, so I'm trying to keep it steady here so it doesn't just fall over on camera. But this is Lagoona in her box, looking very, very cute. I kind of was on the fence about whether I was going to get her or not. I knew for sure with Gen 3 I wanted to get Cleo and then Draculaura, and then I wasn't so sure about Lagoona, but looking at her now, I'm really glad I did because she looks so cute in person. The back of the box here has got her art and then her kind of small informational blurb. So she is a splash-tastic sea monster. Her monster must-haves are her shell phone and kelp crisps. And then her monster pet is still Neptuna. So just like with Draculaura, she does have a redesign of Neptuna, but it is still Neptuna, whereas Cleo had a whole new pet. I'm not sure why for some characters they're giving them brand new pets, and for some characters they're just redesigning the old ones. I don't know. I don't know the logic behind that, but that's what it is. So that is all for Lagoona in box. I'm going to go ahead and get her out of here off camera really quick so we can take a closer look at all that she comes with and talk quality and just have another fun Monster High day. I love that this series is back. I'm obviously very excited, so I will be right back with you guys. Okay, we've got Lagoona all unboxed with all of her goodies kind of strewn about here. Sorry, I'm a bit messy today, I guess. As per usual, we are going to go ahead and save the doll herself for last because I like to keep suspense up on this channel. And look at her extras. So first of all, she comes with her shell phone, of course. All of the eye coffins have different shapes and different molds this generation. And I mean, obviously Lagoona's had to be a shell. We can see she's got her personalized apps here, like the seahorse and the little scale heart. Very cute, pixelated a little bit like the other ones, but you know, it is what it is. Adorable. Then she's got her little water bottle here. I love the texture. I don't know why. I'm just obsessed with that. And just like the others, the lid does pop off, which again, I just think is a detail that Mattel could have gotten away with not giving us. So I really appreciate that it is there. And also the top shaped like a little fin. Super cute. She has got, am I missing something? Hold on. One moment. I think my cat stole one of her accessories. I will be back. Okay, yes. So one of Lagoona's monster must-haves is her kelp crisps, and I guess it's also one of my cat's must-haves because my cat definitely was batting this around playing with it. So it's safe now. I do think it's cute. There's obviously you can't read it because it's so tiny, but I like that they put in the effort to kind of mimic nutritional information on the back of this. So that's precious. I can't get over my cat. That was so funny. The other thing Lagoona comes with is this little goldfish parody box, it looks like. You can see there's the Gen 1 Neptuna printed on there. I don't know if these are supposed to be goldfish, like a second snack for Lagoona. Because all the dolls come with their water bottle or coffee cup or whatever. And then a food item. And then usually something different. But this is 2 food items for Lagoona, or it might be fish food for Neptuna. Not really sure, but it is cute. Again, we've got really kind of unclear, but a lot of detailed printing, so I appreciate that. And then she's got her backpack here. Kind of reminiscent of the Surf to Turf Lagoona backpack from Gen 2, except it's a lot better executed in my opinion. It's got extra molding on here on the shell, which I think is cute. I don't know what's up with the little drips. Kind of random, but I'm kind of into it. The straps are a different color, which I like. And it is just like Draculaura's backpack, kind of a softer plastic, so it doesn't unclasp all the way or it doesn't have a clasp to close. It just kind of opens. But unlike Draculaura's, it definitely opens a lot more. I mean, I can get my whole thumb in there. So that's pretty cool, and obviously would be functional to carry some of her accessories. She's also got her sunglasses, of course. So Lagoona can't have a day on the beach without her sunglasses. I like the little pattern on the sides. I think that's cute. Then instead of like a jacket or something, because she is kind of already wearing a hoodie, she comes with a bathing suit. I've seen some people say that they don't like the colors for this, and while I do think that they are different than like the colors in her main outfit here, I actually like them. I think that they look really cute. I'm a sucker for orange, so anytime orange is included anywhere, I love it. And I don't know, I just like the different kind of green. It's not something that we're used to necessarily seeing with Lagoona, but I think it's quite pretty. The actual quality, I wish that the underside of this was also orange, because you can kind of see like at different angles and also around like her leg openings, the white peeking through. So that's not as great. I do like that it actually ties up. So kind of like mid quality, I guess. But I honestly think it's a cute piece. And then we have Neptuna. I don't think that I dislike the redesign. I think that just this particular molding, I'm not a huge fan of. I don't know what it is. I think something about the mouth looks a little bit off. The fact that she's got like fin ears is very weird for a fish to me. And I also just think maybe if she weren't in this like seated, like it's supposed to be so that you can set her down, and she does balance okay. But I think that if the tail were like flipped the other way and she looked more like she were swimming, I think that would be better. I've also seen people saying that they would have liked to have another kind of like callback to G1 and have a backpack for Lagoona that Neptuna could fit in, and I 100% agree with that. I think that would have been really cute. So I don't think that I hate Neptuna like this. I just think that there are other things that I would have liked to see more. So I'm curious about how they'll handle her and like her interactions with Lagoona in the future. Maybe future dolls will be better, but that's just kind of my 2 cents on this. Also the eyes, I don't know how well it'll decide to focus here. But the eyes are a much bigger print than, say, the eye coffin, like if I hold them up side by side. Obviously the eyes are a lot bigger, but they are also pretty pixelated. They're worse in person than they're showing up on camera. So that's a little bit disappointing that the screening's kind of bad for Neptuna's eyes, because it's not like they're the same super, super small scale of the eye coffin or even like her treats here. But for some reason, they're also a little bit blurry, so not the biggest fan of Neptuna, but she's not the main part of this doll. The main deal is, of course, Lagoona herself, and like the others, she does not come with a stand. This is just one of mine. Let's go ahead and get her off so we can take a look at her. Face, adorable. I really do like it. I love the freckles. I think that's so, so cute for her. I feel like the printing is pretty good on hers. Her little ears, still fin ears, which I'm obsessed with. I think my least favorite part about the face is probably these, like, scales, dots at her forehead. For a few reasons. I think that this is not a bad idea, but I think if it were going to be executed well, it would need to be more of like a gradient where they're really concentrated at her hairline and kind of fade down into almost freckles as they go further down her forehead. I just think that that would have looked better. They look very like attempting to have a widow's peak. I don't know. I feel like they just don't blend in well with the rest of her face or her hair. So I'm not a huge fan of that. The other thing is that if you're going to go for not a random assortment of scales, if you're not scattering them about and you want them to be precise, the printing has to be beyond perfect. And as you can see, it is very much not. Like the middle of her face is lined up with this one scale, and like so all of this is off to the side. So I just think that's like they created something for themselves where if it were more of a gradient or more scattered, more random looking, they could have gotten away with an imperfect screening because it'd be random. But with this design, it has to be so perfect or you're going to see it and going to notice it. And I can definitely notice it. I think that I'm probably going to remove these and then maybe try painting some on myself. And if I hate it, I'll just take them back off and let her not have them. But yeah, so that's like my least favorite part of her face up. But if you take that away, I think everything else is super, super cute. She is precious. She still feels very Lagoona to me. Like I think her facial shape and like design looks very Lagoona, even though she is a different skin tone this generation. So I'm in love with that. When it comes to her hair, she's got the purple and the kind of teal, and of course, still a lot of blonde back here. I think the colors are really cute. I like the addition of like the purple. I think with her pink skin, it goes in very, very well. Got a couple of clips and then also a hairband. Then when it comes to the rooting, Okay, hold on. It's a little bit thin. It's not nearly as thin as Draculaura's was. That one was honestly quite bad. But especially when it's up in the ponytail, you can't really tell because like I had to peel it apart to get to that. So I would say the rooting is good enough if you're going to keep her hair in a ponytail. If you want to restyle, it might be on the thin side, which is concerning because I started with Cleo. Like Cleo was the first Gen 3 doll that I unboxed. And so her hair was so thickly rooted that I was really excited. Now seeing Draculaura's and kind of Lagoona's, a little bit concerned about the rooting quality for this gen. But hopefully that's just something that improves over time. Moving on down though, she does have mismatched earrings. So there's just like a stud here and then a little fish skeleton over here. She has a puka shell necklace, which I think is so thematic and hilarious. And I love it so, so, so much. I think that's such a fun detail. I don't think the original Lagoona ever had one. At least not to my memory. I could be wrong for sure. But I think that that's adorable and I'm obsessed. Her pink hoodie. I love the kind of skeleton seahorse. The fishnets on the sides. Very, very cute. This sort of like monster mouth fanny pack. I honestly really like. In the teaser for the movie, I haven't seen the movie as of time of filming. I still don't know if I'm going to see it or not. But Lagoona can like open her mouth really, really wide and has kind of piranha-esque teeth. I know some people have a problem with that. I don't have an opinion really. Mostly I think it's cute that the bag kind of ties into that aspect of her character in Gen 3. So I think it's cute. And then it does unclasp in the back here. So you can take it off. And then it was also like holding this hood down. And I did not know that her outfit has a hood. So that's very reminiscent of G1 Lagoona, where she had a hood in her original Wave 1 release. So I think that's super cute. Again, with the white on the underside of the fabric. I think that's a running complaint, quality-wise, when it comes to G3, is that a lot of stuff, like I know Cleo's jacket wasn't lined, and like to have this, so from the back, if you have it up, it's going to look a little bit weird from the back. Not a huge fan of that. I like the design overall. I think that that's very cute, and I'm glad that they kind of kept that aspect from Lagoona's first release. But yeah, I wish that the fabric was just a little bit more quality. Then underneath here, she's got her shorts, the tie-dye, super cute. I think like the white pattern going through here almost looks like the white pattern of like the sun reflecting on water. You know what I'm talking about. So I don't know if that was intentional, but it looks really, really cool. And I do like the ruffles on the side here, kind of fin-esque. And I just think it gives her like a cool shape, especially when the hoodie's down. I don't know. I'm a big fan. And then I'm going to talk about the legs when we talk about the body, okay? Like, I'm going to get her undressed in a little bit and talk about the body. But, shoes, very fun. I feel like they're definitely more sporty than, like, the first Cleo shoes. Or, the first Lagoona shoes. I feel like hers were always just more sandal, like, just normal sandal, whereas these have a little bit more of an athletic feel, which I honestly really appreciate. They say monster across the top there. Only complaint is on the very tips of the shoes. The seashells have a little bit of imperfect painting on there. Not terrible though. So that's Lagoona clothed. And now obviously we have to talk about the bodies because all the bodies are different in Gen 3 and it's super, super fun. So I'm going to take her clothes off really quick so that we can actually see her to talk about that. So with Cleo and Draculaura is definitely kind of like the curviest girl of the bunch for this generation so far. And Cleo too had a much smaller waist than Draculaura, but still like a lot of hip. Lagoona's more almost straight up and down. Like she still has some curve to her, but more straight up and down, which is just so cool again to see the different body types being represented. I'm glad that they all have different body molds. I like it, okay? I'm never gonna stop talking about how I like it. She also has molded on scales and fins on her arms. So these obviously don't come off because they're fully molded in. Makes the like hoodie, especially with the fishnet sleeves, kind of hard to get on and off. Like you just have to be careful to not snag on it. But I like that. I think that it's a cute design. I'm here for it. Then obviously the star of the show for Lagoona's molding is her legs. This kind of ombre effect going down from the pink to the blue. So pretty. You can see here a little bit of like extra shine where I guess the finish is just different on mine. So that's kind of sad. But overall, the effect I think is absolutely beautiful. On the back, you can see at the joints that her legs are like this clear blue all the way from like the calf down, and they're just painted over with the pink, which means that at the joint, they're not painted fully, so that when you bend it, the paint, it's like pre-rubbed off, if that makes sense. If you know anything about doll customizing, or if you watched any doll customizing videos, you know that a big problem when trying to recolor a doll is the paint chipping off at the joints, because as you move them, the paint will like come off. And so they've pretty much just avoided painting that spot altogether so that that doesn't happen. It's not like the cutest thing ever, but I do get it. I understand why they did it, and I do think that, to be fair, I would prefer it to come off in like this nice uniform shape than I would to have it chip off randomly. This way it looks like at least slightly more intentional. So kind of a minor downside to the way that the legs are done, but I mean, I don't know the most about doll making, but I'm not really sure how else you would make this aside from like literally casting like part of the leg pink and part of the leg in this clear, which I feel like would probably be a much more intensive process and therefore more expensive. I don't really know. I should stop talking about stuff I don't know anything about. But the fins on her legs are blue. I would have liked to see them match. I think that would have been cool to have a bit of blue like up here. But they are cute. I like the color. They also don't come off. Hello, editing me here. I actually just literally now saw a TikTok review of her, and apparently the fins do come off. You just have to pull way harder than I did. So I was wrong. They do come off, but they are super secure. So still not the same problem as like G1 Lagoona where the fins would just come out. I literally didn't even think I could get them out. So that's the actual information. So yeah, that's it for her molding. Overall, I'm a fan. I'm trying to get her to stay in her stand really quick. Sorry. But yeah, so that is overall thoughts for Lagoona. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to have to wash her hair because I didn't mention, but like you can see, it's a mess at the ends there. And I really don't feel like having to put all of her clothes back on for the outro and then take them all back off to wash them. So we're just going to, little sensor bar here. But yes, those are my final thoughts on Lagoona. Definitely let me know all of your thoughts and opinions on her in the comments down below. I would love to hear what y'all are thinking. Overall, I would say my favorite thing, I do love her outfit and I love the legs. The legs are phenomenal. I also think her face mold is very, very cute. Least favorite things are probably her scales at her forehead, and then also just like the fabric, like I was saying earlier, with the hoodie like this, how the fabric isn't printed on both sides. Those are probably, my least favorite aspects of Lagoona. But yeah, those are my thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, if you could give it a like, it would mean a lot. And I do make videos every Monday and Thursday, so if you aren't subscribed and you want to see more, you should definitely check that out. But yeah, that's going to be it for today. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day or your night or whatever it might be, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.